Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, you're welcome to Sew with Mediva. And if you're a returning subscriber or a returning viewer, thank you for sticking to my channel. So in today's video, I'll be showing you guys how to sew this simple notched collar waistcoat. It's a halter neckline and I showed you guys how to draft out the pattern in my previous video. I'll leave the link pinned in the comment section. This is what the back looks like, and I achieved this style using 2 yards of African print fabric. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. So I'll leave the link of the pattern drafting video in the comment section. So I'm gonna head to cut out my fabric, and those are the back panels. I'll set them aside because we're starting with the front. So before I separate the patterns from the fabric, I'm going to notch out some important points. So I'll place my collar on the neckline this way, just exactly the way it was before I cut it out, and then I'll go ahead to notch some points. So I'm going to notch these breaking points, these points that has the notch design, and then I'll also notch on the collar where the front neckline is going to stop. Just follow what I'm doing. This is going to come in very handy for you when you are joining together. So on the collar, I marked where the front neckline will stop, so I'll go ahead to notch that point on the collar. By doing this, it is going to come in very useful for you when you are joining your fabrics together. Go ahead to notch it on all the fabrics, and then after that I'm going to notch that point on the front panels. So this is where the neckline is going to stop. Notch it this way. So when you are sewing, this collar is going to sit on the neckline this way. As you can see, the point where we notched is going to sit on the neckline this way, while the remaining part will go around your back neckline. I hope you guys understand this. So I'll go ahead to separate the patterns from the fabric, and then we'll start joining the fabrics together. So we're starting with the front panel, and I'll go ahead to separate the lining pieces. You can see I have 2 for the center front and I have 2 lining pieces for the sides. So the ones that has the stay is going to serve as the lining. So I'll set them aside, and then I'll go ahead to open up the remaining fabric that I have. So these are the center fronts. I have 2 pieces of it, and I have 2 pieces of the sides as well. So after opening up, I'll go ahead to join them together. I'll place them right sides facing each other this way, and then starting from the base of the fabric, I'll go ahead to join it together all the way up. So if you have any excess there, you can just go ahead to trim it out. I'll repeat the same thing for the other side. Starting from the base, I'll go ahead to join them together. So when I'm done doing all of that, I'll repeat the same process on the lining pieces. I'll join all the fabrics together this way. You can use your pins to hold it down before joining. I'll repeat the same process on the other side and show you guys what it looks like when I'm done. So after joining the pieces together, this is what it looks like on the wrong side. So what you're going to do next is to notch the seam area opened. So go ahead to make small cuts on the seam area on the wrong side. So whatever you do on the main fabric, you're going to do it on the lining pieces as well. Go ahead to notch the seam areas opened this way. So after notching, you're going to then open up the seam on the wrong side. Go ahead to open it up and iron it out. By doing that, it is going to help the seam appear very neat on the right side. So I've got ahead to iron the seam area open, and this is what it looks like. You can see how neat it looks now on the wrong side and also on the right side. And I did the same thing on the lining pieces. So I'm going to set this aside now while we work on the collar. So for the collar, I have removed the pattern paper, and just like I explained during the pattern drafting video, I have 4 pieces of it because I didn't put this place on a fold. Normally you're supposed to fold into 2, but since my fabric wasn't enough, I had to cut it out separately. So I'm going to join the collar now on this side and also join this other one. But if you have yours on a fold, you don't need to do this part. So when I'm done, I'll show you guys. So after joining together, this is what it looks like. Remember, you don't have to do this if you had cut your fabric on a fold. So the next thing to do is to place the 2 fabrics right sides facing each other this way. So remember the points we notched on the collar at the beginning of this video. So I'll just go ahead and get my chalk now to highlight those points. So this is one of the notched parts. So I'll take this to my sewing machine now and stitch from that notched part to meet the other notched part. So this is the back neckline. You're going to stitch it closed. So you're going to leave this other side opened and leave the other one open. That is the part that will go around the front neckline. And then you close up this side. You close up this side. You close up the other side as well. And then stitch this lower part all the way closed using the 1/2 inch that we added. So the parts I highlighted with the chalk are the points you're going to stitch. So just follow what I explained and go ahead to stitch yours. When I'm done, I'll show you guys what it looks like. So after joining the lining and the fabric together, this is what it looks like. So these are the parts I left opened. And before I flip it over to the right side, I'm going to notch the seam opened. So notch the seam opened all around it. So after notching, I'll go ahead now to flip it over to the right side. So while flipping, you're going to make sure you bring out all the edges, all the sharp edges, because it's going to determine how well your collar will appear when you are done. So I'll go ahead now to iron this out and show you guys the next thing to do. So after I ironed out my collar, this is what it looks like. So another thing I did was to bring out that open part, and I went ahead to stitch it on the right side. This is going to bring out the shape and also make joining to the front panel easier. So I'm going to get the front panel, one side of the front panel now. So we want to fit in that neckline into this curved part. So remember the part we notched on the front panel, that is where the collar is going to stop. So I'll place the collar this way on the neckline. I'll leave 1/2 inch towards that point for turning over with the lining. So I'll leave 1/2 inch there, and then I'll start from this side. So place that curved edge of your collar, do this carefully, place it all the way into the neckline of the front panel this way. So you can see that it will fit in perfectly, and that notched design is going to stop directly at that notched point on the front panel, as you can see. So I'm going ahead to fit mine into the neckline, and I'll go ahead to stitch it down. So when I'm done, I'll show you guys. So after joining the collar to the neckline, this is what it looks like. When I had to stitch it down. So what I'm going to do now is to take my lining and place the right side of my lining facing it this way. So place your lining, place the neckline of your lining on it this way, making sure the collar is in between the two fabrics. And then I'll go ahead now to stitch the lining on the neckline. So I'll take it to my sewing machine now and go ahead to join all three fabrics together. When I'm done, I'll show you guys what it looks like. So after stitching the lining to it, this is what it looks like. So this is what the right side looks like, and this is what the wrong side. So you just place your lining on the neckline, just like I explained, and then go ahead to stitch it all the way down. Stitch all three together this way. Next thing I'm going to do is to tuck the collar in between it and close up the remaining side. So like I said, I'll go ahead now to close up the side. I'll use the 1/2 inch and close it up all the way down. And then I'll tuck in the collar in between the fabrics, and then go ahead to close up the armhole area all the way down to the sides. I'll leave the lower part open for turning over, and I'll show you guys the next thing to do. So after I closed up the armhole area and the sides, this is what it looks like. I left the lower part opened. So before we turn it over, I'll go ahead to notch the seam areas opened and then proceed to flip it over to the right side. So use a sharp object to bring out all the edges very well. So when you are done, you should have something that looks like this. So you can see how beautiful and neat the neckline looks even without ironing. So you should have something that looks like this as well. So the next thing we want to do now is to attach the collar to the other side of the front panel. So I'll show you guys how to do that now. So I'll get the front panel and just go ahead to place the neckline again on it. Leave 1/2 inch on that side because of your turning over with the lining, and then go ahead to fit in the neckline into the collar this way. So you just need to leave 1/2 inch on this side because of turning over with your lining. And then I'll go ahead to stitch it down. When I'm done stitching, I will place my lining pieces on it this way, and then go ahead to stitch down the neckline together with it. just like we did on the other side. I'll stitch down the neckline, and when I'm done, I'll close up this side. I'll go ahead to close up this side using half of an inch, stitched all the way down. After stitching that part, I'll fit in the remaining part of my front panel in between the fabrics this way, and then go ahead to close up the armhole and close up the sides. So when I'm done, I'll show you. So this is me just joining the lining, the collar, and the main fabric together on the neckline. So after closing up the neckline, I'm going to then close up the armhole area all the way to the sides, and also close up the center front. So this is why we left half an inch on that armhole area. So I'll start by closing up the center front all the way down using the half an inch allowance. So after closing up the center front, I'll go ahead to fit in all the remaining parts in between the two fabrics, and then close up the armhole area all the way to the sides, just as you can see me doing in the video. So I'll close up the sides all the way down. So after closing up all the sides, this is what we have. So before I turn it over to the right side, I'll go ahead to notch the seams just like we did with the other side. Go ahead to notch the seam areas opened, and then proceed to flip it over to the right side. So use a sharp object to bring out all the edges again. So use something pointy to push out all the edges. So when you are done, you should have something that looks just like this. So after attaching the collars, I'm gonna head to iron it out, and you can see how beautiful this looks. So for the base, I'm going to just fold it in by half of an inch. I'll fold the lining and the main fabric in by half of an inch, and go ahead to close it up and stitch it down. I'll repeat the same thing on the other side. So I'll set the front panels aside while we work on the back panels. So close up the base and set it aside. So for the back, I'll just remove the pattern papers from it, and then go ahead to separate the lining from the main fabric. So you have to label the upper part so that you don't get confused. So this is me labeling the lining piece. So those are the upper parts. And also for the main fabric, I would also label the upper parts, because it looks kind of alike and you can end up mixing it up. So also label your main fabric to know the upper parts. So I've opened up the back panels, and this is what it looks like. So I'll go ahead now and place it on each other, and go ahead to stitch it closed using the half an inch I added. I'll do the same thing for the other side, and I'll repeat the same process on the lining pieces. Go ahead to join all three fabrics together using half of an inch. So when I'm done doing all of that, I'll show you guys the next thing to do. So after joining all three fabrics together, this is what it looks like. I went ahead to notch the seam open, and I ironed it out. The next thing to do is to place the lining and the main fabric right sides facing each other this way. Then I'll go ahead to close up the upper and the lower part using half of an inch. So after I closed up the upper and the lower part, I turned over to the right side, and then I ironed it out. I've also finished up the base of the front panel just like I explained earlier. The next thing to do is to place the front and the back right sides facing each other. So go ahead to arrange the front panel, making sure the right side is facing the right side of the back panel this way. And then use the 1 inch seam allowance to close it up all the way down. I'll do the same thing for the other side. So when I'm done, I'll show you guys the finished product of this jacket. So guys, after I closed up the sides and turned over to the right side, this is what it looks like. So you can see how beautiful this looks. This is what the back looks like now. You can see how easy it is to achieve this beautiful waistcoat. So don't forget to weave this inner seam so that you can have a very neat finishing on the inside. So the last and final thing to do is to insert your buttonholes and sew your buttons to the center front. So I'll be doing that off camera. So maybe in another tutorial, I'll be showing you guys how to create buttonholes for your jackets and your shirts. So you can make your buttons 3 3 inches apart from each other. Like mine, I made it 3 inches apart and it was okay. So this is where we end this video for today. I hope you found it useful and I hope you learned something new. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment and subscribe to my channel.